All right. So let's understand what is it that we'll be covering in today's lecture. Right. To quickly summarize what we did yesterday, we worked on various use cases from a storage perspective. We tried a couple of use cases on S3. How do you administrate S3 with AWS CLI? Able to move files, able to push files, right? And we also worked with EFS and instances, some of those areas that we worked with. We did role-based migration, right? Data migration, where you create a role and any data that you put in your primary, it will go to secondary. We also understood various storage options that are available with S3, right? All this is particularly focused towards clearing your interview and clearing your examination, right? It's very important that in your interview, in your examination, they will expect you to know various storage types, encryption mechanism, lifecycle policy, etc., etc., etc. We also work with IAM roles. We worked with IAM programmatical user. We use third-party tool such as S3 browser. We've also worked with Glacier. A lot of use cases that we have worked with. So I strongly urge that go back and follow the yesterday's class in case if you have not so far. So again, today we'll continue to work with storage, though we have various storage families that are available. We will continue to work here. Today we'll be working with storage gateway. So basically what a storage gateway is, it's an AWS developed software. You can use Vim backup, you can use semantic endpoint. There are a lot of other softwares that are available which can do data migration and backup for you, right? But in this case, AWS has developed their own software, and we will be using that to do a backup and data movement from one location to another location, right? So the use case is pretty simple here. So let's make this on-premise, right? This is your on-prem data center. So you have your on-premise data center here, right? This is in-house. You have data in your house here, right? Now, what will you do if you're running out of storage, right? You own and operate a data center and you're running out of storage. So what would you do? You go out and buy more hardware, right? Initially, before buying a hardware, you will do optimization within the data center, delete files, swaps files, temp files. You will do archival, compress them, zip them, right? Couple of other areas that you'll be focused, um, right, from a storage perspective, and you will try to move data here and there, defragment it, try to create more room within the hardware. And even after doing several optimizations and removing data that are not necessary, if you're still running out of space, only then you go out and you go to EMC or NetApps or HP that we're looking at, and you'll say, hey, I need more storage boxes, can you bring it in and install it for me? Point number one. And then along with that, you have to buy multi-year support for 3-5 years that we are looking at. Third thing is we have to focus on software procurement, right? Replication, mirroring softwares, and other things that typically comes with that. You have to buy additional softwares to ensure that your data is retained there, right? A lot of jing and headaches that we have. So to solve all this problem, AWS has developed an appliances. It's a VM actually. It's an appliances or a software called Storage Gateway. So usually what the Storage Gateway does is it connects to your on-premise data center, or typically it sits in your on-premise. So let me do one thing. Let me take this off, right? It sits within your organization, right? So you will install Storage Gateway here, right? You can install a Storage Gateway software within your data center, right? Basically, it's a VM that you will create, or you can download a ready-made VM where the software is already installed, right? And once you have this here, then further you can connect this to AWS. So you can now connect this to AWS, right? And you can connect this to AWS S3, which is in AWS. So now going forward, any data that you have within your data center, Any data that you have within your data center can now directly moved into S3. So there is no longer buying additional boxes, additional storages, servers, licenses, nothing you have to do, right? And you don't have to worry about VPN tunnel or IPsec or anything else. Since S3 works on HTTPS traffic, it works on HTTPS traffic, all your data will be sent over port 443. So the entire data is transmitted with an encryption. Now, second thing is S3 does not have an IP, doesn't have IP, right? So you yourself will not get to know where the data is moving, right? From which IP the data is going, that also is not visible to you because AWS does not show that. Because yesterday we connected S3, a tool where we only gave access key and secret key. We did not specify the bucket name, we did not specify the address, nothing we did. We only furnished username and password, in this case access key and secret key, and the connection was established, right? So this is a use case that we'll be demonstrating here. Now I do not have access to on-premise AWS. So instead, I'm gonna do a use case where I'm gonna create a storage gateway server here on AWS, right? Instead of doing this, is supposed to do on on-premise, but I'm gonna do it on AWS, right? On-prem. This is an EC2 instance that I have, right? And then um, I will use another EC2 instance, right? This is a normal EC2 instance that I have here. Um, it's a normal EC2 instance, let's say Linux, or you can have Windows also, right? And this is again, this can be on-premise or on AWS, right? And then finally, my storage will be S3, S3, right? Object storage, right? This will be only on AWS, right? So this is the use case that I will be doing, right? So I will be writing some data on this Linux machine. As soon as I write, my storage gateway will pick this up and then put this on S3 bucket here. So that is the use case that we'll be demonstrating. So pay attention. Right? So I will put some content from this machine. I'll write some content within this machine. That's it. Storage gateway will pick up the content from this machine and move it here. So what this use case is doing is, this is doing data migration, which is different than your server migration and database migration. We are not discussing server migration or database migration now. We're only focusing on data migration. So this particular software will act as an appliances for you to migrate the data from your on-premise to S3 bucket. That is what it's gonna do here. Are we clear, boys? Is it making sense? All right, so let's dive in and build this. So I'm doing this lab in Virginia region, right? So in my previous lecture, what I did is I created a security group, and we will be using the same security group here. Let me just show you the ports here quickly. Inbound. And these are the ports that I have opened. One is NFS port, SSH port, and HTTP port. So these are the three ports that I have already opened in my previous lecture, and I will be using this to build it. So let me go to services and then storage gateway. There's a section that is available where you can create a storage gateway here. So let me color code this for you to understand. This is where I'm working right now. Right, get started. Now there are three options that are available based on the files that you would like to move. If it is a file gateway, if you have any files such as NAS, if you have on-premise NAS storage, the data if you want to move, you can take file storage. If you have VMware volumes, right, instances or VMs volumes, then you can use volume gateway. If you have tape libraries and tapes on premise, lot of tape data that you have that you want to move, then you can use tape gateway. The options that are available here, right? So any option that you select, for example, if I select tape, the UI is same, the software is exactly same. If I go back previous and if I select volume, next again the UI is exactly same, right? Even if I select gateway here, file gateway, the UI is exactly same, right? So basically what it is telling you is, if you have a VMware environment in your data center, you can download this image. This is the fully built VM, right? They have taken a Linux machine, they have installed the software for you already, they have done all the necessary configurations into the appliances. All you have to do is download this and launch this as a VM in your data center if it is a VMware environment. If it is Hyper-V 2008, then the Hyper-V version is available. If it is 2012, you have 2012 version available, right? Or if you need hardware appliances, you can buy one. Click on buy here and they're selling this on AWS. You can actually literally buy this $12,000 Dell PowerEdge server, right? They have taken this PowerEdge server here. This is the server that they have taken. I don't know the specification yet. It has 3-year warranty. Maybe it has about 32 GB RAM and some 1 terabyte of storage, etc., etc., etc. that you have. So this is the server that they have. So they have taken the physical server, they have created a VM, and they have installed the software for you. And this is costing you this much, right? So you can take an hardware appliance also in order to do your lab. So today in this lecture, I'll be using EC2 instance here. But before we work with an EC2 instance, because we have discussed here, this is the EC2 instance that we are creating right now. And this EC2 instance has the software that we want to use for data migration. Now I have read the document. The only thing that you need to remember is you cannot do this lab on micro instance or small or medium. In order to run this software, this is the minimum hardware configuration that is required. So therefore, I will be using this configuration to launch my storage gateway software. You can also do that, but remember, you don't have to run this throughout the day. Just do this lab within 1 hour and chuck it. So you'll only charge for an hour. And don't worry, you don't have to pay for it. We will get that waived off. Right? It says M4 extra large. Next. Connect to the gateway previous. My bad. I'm supposed to first launch it. I haven't launched it yet. So when I click on launch, what it will do is it will open this in a new browser. So when I click on launch, a new browser has opened here and my old browser is still here. Make sure that you don't close this. We need this for later, so don't close this, right? Only thing you need to remember is these are the instructions that you need to follow, right? So I've done this lab several times, so I remember I don't need to follow these instructions, but for you, you have to follow these instructions, right? So we'll start with M4 extra large. M There you go, M4 dot extra large. So it'll come with 4-core CPU and 16 GB RAM. Nothing I have to do here. So you need minimum 2 volumes to do this. Your primary volume should be 80 GB. Your secondary volume should be 150 GB, and this is bare minimum. If you don't have this, you cannot do your volume lab, right? The 80 GB is for your operating system and the storage gateway software. 150 GB, the secondary drive that you're locating is for, it'll act like a cache server. And make sure that you check this option, because when you terminate this instance, the second volume that you have created will also be deleted along with that. So make sure that you tick the second option here. And I'm going to call this storage gateway. Configure security group. We'll be selecting the existing security group that was created yesterday. All right. M4 extra large, and it is working on that. So we will wait here. Usually it takes about 2 to 3 minutes because it's a very large instance, and it has to do a post setup. It has to do the post setup of the software. Please bear with me. This is setting up. Exactly. These are the security groups that are needed here. Where did this Saddam run away? 10 minutes, he will not be at one place. Can you message him? Can you ask Saddam to join back? Couple of more minutes, guys. Once this is ready, we'll continue with the lab.
Please, can you, how you can able to waive our charges? Because I think I charge around $4 right now.
Hey, 2 months you have, man. And $4 and all you pay it here. $4, $5, $10 and all you pay it.
Okay,
Right?
okay,
I'm
okay,
talking about significant bills such as like $100, $150, $200 if you have,
okay,
right? At least you have some respect to ask for waiver. $1, $5 and all, don't ask waiver, because remember, Amazon will only give you waiver once in your account lifetime, right?
okay,
So if you
okay,
take $4 or $5 waiver now and tomorrow you want to experiment something, right? And then you realize that the bill is high, you cannot go and ask for the waiver. So
okay.
keep this one precious ticket
Yeah,
so that if it's really needed and it's really big money that you need to get waiver, that is when you have to request. Otherwise, small money like 4, 5, $10 and all is very negligible, yeah.
no problem. Okay, okay, no problem. Thank you.
Right. So it says the server is ready. I'll copy the IP address here, and then I'll go back to the previous tab. And in my previous tab, I'll click next. And then I'll paste the IP. So this IP that I'm pasting here, right? This IP that I'm pasting, I've got it from here. I've taken the storage gateway. I've taken the storage gateway instance public IP address, and I have pasted it here. Now connect to gateway. And if you happen to do this in your organization, you need a public IP address to be associated with this instance in your organization. Just gonna say public here, Activate gateway. Now what it is doing is it is looking for that 150 GB storage, the secondary storage that was allocated while creating this instance, right? It is looking for that. Okay, so if you see here, the secondary drive is showing up the 150 GB, and it is using this as a cache here. Save and continue, right? My storage gateway is running right now. Now I'll create a file share here. I'll create a file system. To do this, I need two things. One is I need to create an S3 bucket here. If I go back to my diagram, right, I need to create an S3 bucket. Right, and remember this bucket has to be in the same region where you're creating your storage gateway software. Now in my case, I have created this in Virginia, so I'm hoping that I have one bucket created in Virginia already, or if not, I can go and create a bucket, and I have showed you already in your subsequent classes on how to create a bucket. S3, and Mumbai, Virginia, Sydney, Mumbai, Virginia. Okay, so there's already a bucket in Virginia with my name here. So I'm gonna use this bucket, right? Create a file share. It is asking me for my S3 bucket, and I will select Sohail-Adnan here because that is my bucket name. Sohail-Adnan is the bucket name that I already have here, and I have used the same name here. Next, nothing to do here. Next, and if you do not see any error message, if you see any error message here, that means the bucket name that you have given is incorrect. It's not matching the character. In my case, it is working just fine. Click on create a file share. Right, the file share is creating here. I'll do a quick refresh. It is still creating, but if you see here, it has created a mount point. A mount point it has created for Linux. It has also created one for Windows. It has created one for Macintosh. Right, now the next step here is I have to mount this somewhere. Where will I mount it? Right, this is done. All I had to do is point a bucket. So I had an existing bucket that I have pointed here. Now the third thing is I am building my EC2 instance. This is the step that I am accomplishing right now. Right, so any data that I have on these instances, if you have hundreds of VM on premise, the thousands of VMs, all the data can be these two data migration can talk to hundreds of instances, suck all that data from there and go back and write it here. Right, so let me go back here. Launch instance. Nothing fancy. I'm just using this Linux machine here to demonstrate the lab. This machine can be built on T2 micro or any size, doesn't matter. Again, doesn't matter over here. No problem. This is a test machine. We'll be selecting existing security group here. Let me launch this machine. The test machine is getting set up here. Let me SSH into this machine quickly. Um, um, okay. The username is ec2-user sudo su. This is the exact same steps that I showed you yesterday also. I'm escalating myself and I'm inheriting root privileges here. Now cd/mount directory. I'm in the mount right now. Let me clear this off. Do I have anything? Nothing. So mkdir s3 storage, something like this. I've created a directory here. Now all I have to do is go back and mount that directory. Not here. Not here, excuse me. It is still creating. Let me give it a tug here. It is available, right? So I have to just copy the command here. They have made it very simple. They've already given me a command. I'm just pasting the command here. After that, /mnt and then my folder. Now if you see the command here, it says mount -t, type is NFS -o, no lock. So it is saying that there's no need of locking it, right? And you're hardening the IP, you're giving the IP address, telling that IP/t S3 bucket name, right? You're trying to hard code this in the mount file here. And then you're mounting this particular location. Now df-h, and there you go. It is mounted, and this is also 9.3 hexabyte, right? Now let's put this in action here. Now let me minimize this. So there are a couple of files. These are the couple of files that I moved in yesterday, and that is showing up in my directory here because I synced the data from there till here. Therefore, the data is available here. Now, if I do ll here, if you see, it is showing all the files ls. Right, S3 project, it is showing all the files that I have here. Why the other files are showing up here? Okay, I think I've deleted this file. It is showing from the version here. Right, all these files that I've previously added and deleted is what it is showing up. Let me clean this off quickly. Action, delete. Okay, refresh. Finally, right? So these are the two files that is just showing up right now. Now watch this very carefully, right? This is how you can see existing content here. Now I can do simple Linux command and I can see what is there in the directory, right? I can say rm-rf star and it will remove the content. If I do ll here, no content is available, right? So if I say rm this directory, now hopefully the directory should be deleted. Cannot remove, it's a directory. Right now, if I go back and refresh here, the directory is gone. So you're seeing, right, how compatible it is. Everything is working real time. All this I'm doing using a storage gateway software in real time. Now let me write some file in the Linux machine here. The same thing will happen. Just treat this machine as in your on-premise also. So that means hundreds of machines, when they're writing it, storage gateway is intelligent enough to talk to hundreds of machines, take those instructions and go back and work with S3, right? The end user will not feel like it is running off of Amazon, right? He will not feel that what is happening. All his storage will be in S3 and he can just naturally communicate, use natural commands and things will just work fine. Echo, working on lab. Right. So as soon as I hit enter here, the file should show up there, right? I hit enter and the file is not showing up there. Maybe I need to refresh the browser, and there you go. My node.txt file is showing up. This was created on December 1st, 2018 at 8:04. So you're understanding, right, how natural communication it is. The software is pretty simple to configure and install, but a lot of sophistication is built into a system. The software is near real time. It's absolutely near real time. It works over HTTPS port. It is 443. It is secured, and it is near real time, right? And you never have to buy new hardware, new storages or software licenses or anything, right? You just have to install the storage gateway appliances in your data center and mount this with all the machines that you have, all the Windows, Linux machines, even end user computing such as laptops and notebooks, right? Because if you go back here, we discuss it will support Mac also. So that means in your office environment, if you have Macintosh, users are using Mac PCs, you can also point your Mac PCs there. So S3 can be mounted as a network drive. As soon as somebody connects to your office network, the drive will show up. And every time they save something, it doesn't have to save in your office data center. This can go and save in your S3. Are we clear? Yes, 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 no, maybe. Yes, it syncs the data. It is near real time. Okay. So now let's further continue here. Let me get rid of this. As I told you before, it is running in a very large machine and I don't want to pay heavy price here.
Can I ask you one thing?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, the mount point has to be configured on each and every machine. So to who are going to use access it
You can
manually.
you can use Active Directory here and you can make this as a part of a policy and you can force policy on hundreds of users devices, right? That can also be done. You can pass this parameter if you have an SSEM that you use in your office, then you can pass this through that also,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
right? Your company, you see, one day you don't have a shared drive, the other day when you log in, right? And when the moment you connect to a network, a shared drive will show up. So how is it happening? They're just pushing this as a policy in Active Directory. All right, now let's continue further here. So this particular storage that you see here, FSX, was launched day before yesterday, right? This is specifically designed for Windows, right, and high performance computing. So if you happen to have a Windows machine or a high performance computing, this is a fully managed third-party file system that is available through AWS. Right, works with Windows File Server or Lust. So if it is Windows, you can select Windows, right, and click on Next. And you can create a partition or a file server here for Windows machine and you can mount this to a Windows server, right? So this is fairly new. They have just launched it and I never had a chance to play with this, but I'll try to figure this out and come and teach you. Um, And but don't worry, they will not ask you this in your examination, but they might ask you in the interview, right? So this is very important. Or if one of you want to take up this as a challenge and do this lab and record a video, great. Right. S3 have done, EFS I've did yesterday, Glacier did it, Storage Gateway today. So this covers the storage capabilities that AWS has, right? Now moving forward, right? So can someone tell me what is service delivery? What is service delivery and what is operations? What is service delivery and what is operations? Right? Let's say you ordered pizza, right? You call Domino's and say, hey, I want XYZ, right? The Domino's guy will come and deliver this pizza to you. It is called service delivery. That means a service was delivered to you, right? A pizza was delivered to you, right? Your cable TV is not working. You call a cable service provider. He will send you a technician. He will do some tinkering and your cable service would start working. That is a second type of service delivery, right? You go to a hospital, maybe you consult a doctor, right? He'll write you a prescription. He will talk to you, he'll give you medicines. It is a service delivery or consuming doctor services, right? So teacher, right? A teacher teaches you, right? In my case, I'm your teacher, I'm teaching you. So I'm delivering my services over an internet. I'm doing service delivery, right? So anything that you receive or you consume, it's called service delivery, right? For you, it is service delivery. For me, it is operations. How it is operations for me? After your batch, there is another batch that I have to train. Right? After that, there's another batch that I have to train. It's an operation for me, right? Likewise for pizza, right? You're just another customer for them. For you, it is service delivery, but for pizza guys, it's a day-to-day operation. They have to keep servicing one customer after the another, so the operation must have to go on. The guy who will come and give you pizza, he will not go home and sleep. He has other customers that he needs to service. So likewise, right? When you take something, it is called service delivery, but a company who gives you is called operations, right? A doctor sitting at the hospital, you will go and consult him. You are receive doctor services, but from a doctor's perspective, he is part of operations. He's have to assist multiple patients, right? Take care of multiple patients, advocate, consult, right? So you need to understand that any business model that works, right? A person who receives a service delivery, he receives the service delivery or delivered services to him, and the guy who's giving services to him is actually functioning as an operation. So since we come from an IT background, we do not come from pharmaceutical or health. We do not come from beverages or food. We do not come from educations or training. We are all are from IT, right? We are all from an IT organizations, IT industry. So let's understand how does a service delivery work in IT and how does an operation work in IT, right? So there are three core areas in your service delivery, aka operation. One is NOC, Network Operations Center. Then you have SOC, which is Security Operations Center. Then you have RIM, which is Remote Infrastructure Management, right? All the network related problems, network related challenges will go to NOC. All the security related aspects, breach, right, will go into SOC. And if it is not network or security, if it is not network or security, but anything else, that will get into remote infrastructure management, your DevOps, database, backup, recovery, DR, right? Windows, Linux machines, your application, all that will fall into remote infrastructure management, right? If it is network, will go to NOC. If it is security, will go to SOC. Everything else will fall into remote infrastructure management. Are you with me so far? Yes, 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 no, maybe. Okay, right. So now let's understand what does an L0 does. Watches screen and report issues. Right. So that means when I started my career way back in 2008, I was campus recruit at HP, and I was absolutely fresher. I had no idea what the hell I'm doing there. And they put me into a monitoring team where I had to watch monitoring tools, Nagio, Zabbix, Nimsoft, SolarWinds, and half a dozen different monitoring tools were there. I'm supposed to keep watching the screen, keep track of events and alerts that are popping up, right? And then based on the alerts, based on the issue, I am supposed to create a ticket and send it to database team, create a ticket and send it to Windows team, create a ticket and send it to network team. That was my job, and that is where I started my career from. So usually I used to watch screen and report issues to support stuff, right? So what does L1 does? This is 0 to 2 years. I'll put experience here. This is someone who does 0 to 2 years. 0 to 2 years guy will do this. This is 2 to 4, right? Okay, so this is 2 to 4 years. So under 2 to 4 years, what does an L1 do? Follow standard operating procedures, follow knowledge base KB articles, right? Plus he will have limited admin rights. He cannot do sophisticated things here, right? He will do basic task, password reset, example, password reset, etc. Right? A very basic work he will do, right? Mostly any issues that comes in, he will have access to knowledge base, right? For Microsoft, they have Microsoft KB articles. For VMware also you have. For Linux also you have. Pretty much every technology, proprietary, open source, you have a documentation or a knowledge base that is available, right? That they will log in and they will try to search. It's like a search engine where they will go and search, and then they will find some steps. They'll come back and apply that steps. And if the steps are not working and if they're unable to resolve the problem as an L1, the ticket will move into L2, right? This is 4 to 6 years, right? So 4 to 6 years, these guys will also follow standard operating procedures and knowledge base, right? Plus they will have root access. They'll have root access. They can restart, stop, install, do sophistication work, right? and plus they have experience also. They have over 4 years of experience, 2 years monitoring experience, 2 years L1 experience. By then they have learned that by running rm-rf will screw up the operating system, screw up your project. So they exactly know what commands to run, they exactly know what steps to follow, they exactly know if they do something and if it does not work, they can always roll back. Are you getting my point? They exactly know what they have to do, right? So the experience that they're bringing is valuable here, right? So there are a lot of things that will be on top of their head where they don't even have to refer a documentation. They remember the steps, they memorize it, they can just dive in and start rescuing customer. So experience matters a lot. After experience, they will do automation. So these guys will do automation scripting. They will do automation scripting L2 guys. But 6 years have happened. If they don't write now, when will they write it? So they will do L1, L0, L1 automation they will do, right? And then 6 to 8 years. This is your L3. Works on unknown issues. Works on unknown issues. Works with third-party vendors. Oracle, Red Hat, right? Oracle, Red Hat, or any other VMware. They'll call them. They'll call other companies and say we have problem. Come rescue us. They'll call HP, Microsoft, right? So they'll work with third-party vendors. They will take technical escalations, and they'll work on root cause analysis. RCA problems they will document. Um, they will do orchestration and automation, both the advanced level of orchestration and automation that these guys will be doing, right? Uh, Now architect comes here, right? Architect will have 8 to 12 years of experience, right? So what architect will do? Work on POC, high level diagram and low level diagram. We did a diagram class. I think only Mahesh and one other Saddam did it. All other guys gave me, right? Gave me only promises but did not do. So as an architect, you have to do that, right? Technical documentations you have to work on, right? Pre-sales, you will work on pre-sales. Um, you will do build of material. What else you will do? You will do customer demos. What else? Guys, keep coming up.
Costing.
Build of material means it's basically costing only. I'll write it down again. But usually when you say build of material, it is costing only. Um, what else? Right? And then even I don't recall anything. If I recall, I'll go back and add the points. Then from this is 12 to, I don't know, 20 years. Right? This can be a project manager, service delivery manager, program manager, technical manager, whatever the role that you think of, right? I'm just going to put manager here. This usually varies from organizations to organizations. Some sort of a manager, right? So what he will do, he will do resource, he will do resource building, he'll build resources, bench management, right? Project PMO he will do, project management officer, right? He will do client invoicing, right? He will work with technical TA team, technical acquisition team, right? Or hiring team, right? Talent acquisition. What else? Customer escalations, which is different than technical escalation. This is like projects were not delivered on time. Customer escalations, project milestone. What else? Team lunch. Team activities and team lunch. So some of these things he will be doing it. Leave approving leaves, all that thing he will be doing it, right? So this is how a use case would look like. This is what uh, uh, operations are called. This is called service delivery come operation. Are we clear, boys? Now you understood what is service delivery and what is operations, and at every stage what will happen? Yes, 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 no, maybe. I don't care. Who doesn't care? Right? So let's see what happens in your traditional world, right? So people here, right? This is your traditional Knox cream that we're looking at. Generally, the number might vary, but at a high level, I'll put here. I'd probably need 20 people here, 40 here, 20 here, 10 here, 60, 70, 80, 90. So maybe 5 architects and then 5 manager, something like this, right? Some people will agree because 90 divided by 5, about 17, 18 people per team, right? But some students have said, hey, one architect is too less. Perhaps you need to have two architects for a 16, 17 people team, right? Or maybe a team of 7, 8, one architect should be there. So we can always open a discussion on an argument on how many numbers that we need to have. It depends on project to project, organization to organization. I've just taken rough number here. It can be more, it can be less, right? So I have 100 people here in traditional service delivery that we're looking at. But in AWS, all this work is automated. So we don't need L0 here. So there is no job for L0 in AWS, right? We don't need L1, even the entire L1 work is automated. For example, EFS, right? For example, RDS, for example, Route 53, for example, Certificate Manager, right? All these services are fully managed. You don't have access to root. You cannot log in and check because you don't have to worry about that. Amazon will fix the issue if there is one, right? L2, I cannot automate all the work because the experience matters a lot. The guy who comes with an experience can do wonders, right? But they also do automation and orchestration. So I cannot make them 0. Instead of having 20 people, I'll make them 10, right? L3 are more valuables here. L3 I cannot replace because everything in L3 does cannot be automated because L3 is the one who does advanced level of orchestration and automation here. So I'll make 10 here, right? Because I have 20 people, I don't need 5 architects for 20 people, right? So I'll put 1 here. And I don't need 5 managers for 20 people team, right? So instead of that, I will do this. Right? I will hire a techno manager who is an architect and who is also a technical manager. I will hire a guy who is 2 in 1 who can do both the job. Right? So we started with 100. Now we have 21. Right? So that is why companies are moving into AWS because of the capability that AWS will bring in. There's so much more that one person can do. Eventually, one person can end up replacing 5 people's job on AWS. So there's a huge saving from a resource perspective also here, right? Let me give you an example here. Let's say that you have stepped into a restaurant, McDonald's, right? You just step in and you see, okay, there's somebody standing at the counter. You pay him money, you take your order. You give your order, excuse me, you give your order, right? And the order will go inside and there are army of people in McDonald's in the background that are not visible to you in the kitchen. One guy is making burger, one guy is doing something else, somebody is doing something else. There's an army of people. But at the counter, you'll only see 1 or 2 or 3 staff member taking your order, right? So that is how a traditional service delivery operation used to work, right? Now things have changed right now. All the army that you typically have in the kitchen is automated. There are robotic arms or robotic ways, right? There are integrated machines that from one end chicken goes the other end, it's fully cooked. It is packed and handed over to you, right? As a full meal, right? So whole automation is taking over right now, and AWS and IT is no different. So that is the value that company is seeing, where when they move into AWS, there's so much automation that AWS has already done. You hardly need people to manage and administrate. People who learn technology will be relevant. People who do not learn will be left behind. Right. So this is what will happen. A traditional business needs 100 people. When you move into AWS, you need only 21 people. Are we clear? Okay. So them has not returned back. Right now, let's design our own assembly line, or let's design our own service delivery line. Right. How does a service delivery line would look like? So you'll have your environment here. This environment can be anything. This can be Windows, can be Linux, DevOps, database, right? Active Directory, right? Exchange, right? Could be anything. The environment can be anything that you're required to manage. It could be VPC, network, security, storage, backup, right? When you say IT, there's so much more that you uh, do in your IT here, right? So some of the use cases that I taught, I will highlight in the environment section. Now this environment is connected to your monitoring tool. This environment is connected to your monitoring tool, right? Give me some monitoring names. Give me the monitoring tools that you're using in your office. Guys, I guess I have captured it. You guys are not using any monitoring tool. I need participation. Praneeth, Siva, right? Gokul Krishna, very good. Health check. What else? App Dynamics. What is that? RTMT. SCOM is there, correct? Redgate. Redgate, SCOM, right? So these are the various monitoring tools which monitors various aspects of your infrastructure, right? So this monitoring tool is then connected to your notification system, notification or alert system, right? This can send you an email that, hey, something is wrong, can also SMS you, can make you a phone call. There's a system that can, an IVR, an automated IVR can call you, right? You have mobile application, mobile push. A notification can be pushed as in your mobile phone. So there are various methods where they can send you a notification. The most popular, at least the organizations that I work with, the most popular is SMS. Even in a worst case scenario, whether if you're in village or some jungle and you don't have a network, the data is not working, you're not able to receive call, but intermittently you connect to a network and get disconnected, there will be a possibility of letting you know there's something wrong via an SMS, right? So various aspects of use cases that we have where we can notify you on the problems. Let's continue further. After this notification, um, ticketing. Ticketing tool. ServiceNow. Remedy Force. Give me some ticketing tool names, guys. HPITSM and no Jira यार. Jira नहीं है. Remedius. Give me some ticketing tool. Jira comes in DevOps. What else? Zendesk. Uh, Freshdesk. Some of the ticketing tool that we have here. Remedy Force. And then this is connected to automation. So give me some automation tools here. Landeska. What is that, man? Puppet. Ansible. Salt. So you and me will come here. So this is our typical service life cycle that you will see. This is basically like an assembly line, right? If you have seen the car assembly line, at the beginning of the assembly line, the car will start as an empty hollow shell. At the end of the assembly line, the car is fully built. And because the assembly line is traveling through various stages, right? Some portion of the car is put together, and by the end of the assembly line, the car is fully built and ready, right? So that is a operations or service delivery that you can call it as. So that is what we are trying to achieve here. We're building our own assembly line, an IT assembly line, on how the entire workflow would work, right? Now let's also discuss on SLA. Can someone tell me what is SLA? Hey, that is English here. Service level agreement is English here. Tell me like a layman. Think that I'm a layman, I don't know anything. So now what a service level agreement is? So PISA example, right? Discussing time to resolve the issue, absolutely correct. With specific time issue has to be resolved, correct, right? So you order a pizza and the pizza guy says 30 minutes mein, they'll deliver the pizza in 30 minutes. If not, it is free. It's a SLA. The pizza will be delivered to you in 30 minutes, not it is free. So likewise, there's an SLA that you have in IT world which says, hey, in 15 minutes, I want someone to pick up a ticket, right? Or in 15 minutes, I want you to acknowledge, right, that you have received the incident. And in 4 hours, you have to resolve and close the ticket. One example. Or in several other priorities, right, they will say, hey, in 10 minutes, you have to accept the ticket. In 2 hours, you have to resolve the issue, right? Or if you're lenient, you can say, hey, right, in 4 hours, you have to pick up a ticket. In 48 hours, you have to resolve and close the issue. So this is called severities and priorities upon which you will try to take an action, and that is called service level agreement, where you agree to certain level to service the customer, right? You agree that certain level that you will agree to support the customer. So let's dive in here. So what will happen is, let's say there's something wrong with my DevOps. Something wrong. So what AppDynamics did is AppDynamics picked it up. It picked up the problem, right? And then in the first minute, right? In the first minute, the issue raised, right? In first minute, the issue raised, the monitoring tool has picked it up. It will use one of the notification mechanism, and this will go and report the issue, right? So incident has reported into the ticketing tool. On the second minute, the incident is reported. On the first minute, an incident raised or there was an issue. The monitoring tool saw that issue. In second minute, it went and it created a ticket, right? Issue reported. So in the third minute, what will happen is the ticketing tool will go and say, hey, Ansible, bro, come here. Right, bro, I need your help, bro. Please help me out. Right, so Ansible says, hey, don't worry, man, I am here. Your brother is here. I will help you out. So what this Ansible does is it will log into this DevOps server and does some magic, maybe restart the services, right? Restart HTTPD, some restart services work it will do, right? It'll go and the Ansible will log into this DevOps machine. It'll try to restart some services. It'll try to do something, right? And automation is invoked, right? The moment the automation is invoked, the ticket was, when the incident reports, the ticket is in open state. When the automation is invoked, the automation will change the ticket status to pending review, right? Who's going to review it? The person who created the ticket will review the ticket, right? In this case, the person did not open this. In this case, the monitoring tool opened the ticket, right? So the status is changed to pending review, and then this ticketing tool, what it will do is the automation engine will say, hey bro, I have taken care of it, don't worry. It'll go and change the status to pending review here, right? But the ticketing tool do not trust this guy. This guy is very cunning. Automation is very cunning. So it'll say, okay, fine, thanks. And then what this will do is it will go back to the monitoring tool and say, can you re-monitor, buddy? Can you see whether the issue is resolved or not? A confirmation is needed. So on the 5th minute, re-monitoring. A re-monitoring will happen, right? So monitoring tool is continuously monitoring it, and previously it reported there was a issue. So it raised the red light. Now it is raising the green light stating that now the problem is solved. So the automation engines, the monitoring tool says, hey buddy, thanks man. I think that there is no issue. Everything is green. Close the ticket. So the monitoring tool will tell the ticketing system to close the ticket. That's it. Right, a typical life cycle where we are saying in an SLA where 10 minutes or 15 minutes, a human will just take time to acknowledge that yes, I have taken the ticket, right? He will acknowledge that in 10 to 15 minutes that I have taken the ticket, and 2 to 4 hours he will take to resolve the issue. Automation has resolved and closed the ticket in first 5 minutes only. Isn't that amazing? Right, this is the power of automation. But let's argue, right? Now Mahesh says, how is that possible? Not all issues can be resolved through automation, which is absolutely correct, right? Not all issues can be resolved through automation. So now what we need to do is on the 6th second, let's work on 6th minute. So the monitoring tool is remonitoring and it's saying, hey bro, the problem is still there. So it'll go and tell the ticketing system, bro, after remonitoring, the problem is still there. So what it will do is change the ticket status to pending follow-up. Now who's gonna follow up? The guy who has previously worked on the issue will follow up. In this case, it was not a guy, but it was an Ansible or an automation engine which took up the ticket, right? So the automation engine has to follow up. So the ticket status is changed to pending follow up. Again, the ticketing tool will go and say, hey bro, please help me, man. Last time you said you will do some things, doesn't seems to be working, right? So on the 7th minute, it will this time orchestration, automation, combination, multiple sequences will be executed in an order to make sure to resolve that issue. So invoke, right? Again, this will log into the server. Previous steps, it will say, okay, previous restart did not work. Now it will kill the service, right? It will uninstall the service, it will reinstall the service, and then it will start the service. Just an example here, right? That is what it is doing, and it will come back and it will change the ticket status to pending review. Right? So in the 9th minute, who will review? The monitoring tool, of course. A remonitoring will happen on the 10th minute. Issue resolved and ticket close. Right? If the first time it could not resolve, second time you can try sophisticated steps, a little complex steps to make sure that the issue can be resolved. Right? Now, right? Right? So now Shiva says, oh, dude, the problem is even more worst. Second time also did not fix. That is what Shiva is telling me. So, okay. So 10th minute, right? So after remonitoring, what will happen is the issue is not resolved the second time. So what the ticketing tool does is, right? Ticketing tool will change the ticket status from pending, right? Instead of doing pending follow up, it'll say escalate to support. This will directly go to L2 because we don't have L0 and L1 here. So it'll go to directly L2 because L2 has an experience. So an experienced person can log in and check, right? So it'll escalate to support on the 11th minute. The ticket is queued. You have 12, 13, 14, and then 15. Someone needs to pick up the ticket. So the ticket is in the queue now. So there are two things that will happen. If a guy is sitting idle and doing nothing, if he's watching YouTube and all and chit chatting, right, the ticket will go and automatically assign him. I'll say, hey buddy, enough of chit chatting, start working on the issue because he's in the queue. So the ticket will be automatically assigned to him. But let's say that every agent is busy handling some or the other problem. In those situations, the ticket cannot auto assign to a user. It will put the ticket into the queue and someone in the team has to pick it up and mark it as a pending follow up, and you have to finish your primary ticket and you have to work on second ticket, right? This will only happen when there is understaff. You have far fewer people supporting the environment, or some people are on leave, so therefore there is an extra burden that you have, or it's an unexpected issue and there are far too many incidents that are popping in. Are you with me so far? Right? These are the various use cases why you will have a lot of excess tickets. Otherwise, mostly you'll always have an enough ratio number of people that are there versus number of incidents that are coming up. And finally, if nobody's picking up the ticket after 15 minutes, what will happen? A ticket will be abandoned. A ticket will be abandoned where it will be in the queue, but nobody's picking up, so you breach the SLA. Right? If SLA says somebody needs to pick up the ticket in given time, somebody has to resolve the ticket in given time, and now you're screwed. On the 16th minute, the ticket is abandoned, and you have to close this ticket in 4 hours. In 4 hours, you need to fix the issue and close. Right? If it is beyond 4 hours, what will happen? RCA. You have to prepare a root cause analysis documentation and explain a client why within the SLA the issue could not be resolved. Was there any third party dependency? Right? Some of the other areas that you're required to work is what you will articulate here. Right? So this is how your SLA frame set will work in the next generation service delivery and operation model that we're gonna build, where we're gonna do incident response, post incident, right? A remote administrative work, all that we will be doing through this entire life cycle. Are we clear? Did you now understand service delivery and operation? Is your thought process clear? Saddam, you're back. Any questions, boys, from today's lecture?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, buddy, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the actually customer over here, actually he's not my customer. Actually, I just heard about that. He's having his website onto the AWS, and on I think on Black Friday, his website is around 7 hours down, and he could not get any response from AWS. So what could be the issue? And he's supposed to be have AWS support on that one, or what?
See, usually any services that you take, AWS will not support you,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because you're paying for AWS services,
Okay.
right? You're not paying money to get support from AWS. You and I have to support. If a customer happens to have a service delivery model such as this,
Yeah.
and if he has a service delivery model built on AWS, right, where all his instances are getting monitored, there's a ticketing system in his environment, there's a support staff that he's having in-house or outsourced to some company. If there was a downtime in his instances, the monitoring tool would have picked it up, a ticket would have got created, right? A team could have jumped into that, and if you would have automated the use cases, right, he doesn't have to wait for 7 hours. See, you need to understand that there are two kind of thought process that you will have in service delivery. Mostly it is reactive. It's very few proactive. So in
Yeah.
reactive, what happens is, oh my god, something failed. Now I have to go and work. That is reactive. And 90% of the time, everywhere in the world, that is how they work. Something fails, they take action. So in proactive service delivery, we're going to discuss proactive also. In proactive service delivery, what happens? You're always on top of your infrastructure. You know what is happening. You know how to address your infrastructure on Black Friday. You will have auto scaling configured, right? You
Yeah.
will use all the best practices and mechanisms in such a way that there are extremely unlikely that something like that would fail, right? We discuss about the auto scaling. I know that I have not covered auto scaling in your lecture here, but in DevOps I will cover that. But just to put your thought process, if you follow well architect framework where you design an infrastructure in such a way which is both agile and nimble at the same time. So when I say nimble means minimalistic, right? One or two instances, database connected, very moderate bill that you pay, which is minimalistic, that is nimble. Agile is when it can scale itself from two instances, it becomes 20, right? So by this way, what will happen is the unexpected traffic that you have on Cyber Monday or Black Friday or Singles Day, right? Whatever the use case that we're looking at, it can scale up or down accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got
Right.
it. Got it.
So these design philosophies that you have to include in your infrastructure, along with that, you have to set up the service delivery, right? I think we are already running up time, and I think I have about 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, I cannot cover the entire service delivery, and I don't want to do half today and half tomorrow. Instead, in tomorrow's lecture, I will teach you how to build a service delivery from scratch, from one end to another end, so that whoever your customer you know or you're talking about, right, you also go and replicate, become a consultant there and build up, set up a service delivery for him or her, so that next time something like that happens, he has tools and systems in place to remediate those problems immediately.
Thank you. Yeah.
Otherwise, because in Black Friday he had lost Black Friday, next year it will come, right? And he has lost his potential sale and opportunities that he could have capitalized on.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
All right then, guys, so let's wind up today's class. If you have any questions, I will take them. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, right? Make sure that you come on time tomorrow, because we are working on a very important topic of setting up service delivery, right? And this is very important. Are we clear? Yes, 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 no, maybe. Who says I don't care? Okay. All right then. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for today's session, guys. You guys have a good day ahead. Bye bye.